What's up, guys? This is Jonathan with Rev Free Moto. Welcome back to the channel. We are in just outside of Richmond, Virginia, and I thought might be fun to kind of tool around downtown Richmond a little bit, see the historical areas, if I can find them. But it's an absolutely beautiful day to be out for a ride with you all. Trying to get out of here. This is a really nice area right here. Little bunch of office spaces and shops. Just came out of kind of a really dumpy area. I was looking for a place to pull over. Just came through Montpelier, Cuckoo, and Louisa, all those towns. Need to put my sunshade down. There we go. It's like 70 degrees, 70, 72, something like that. I think the high today is supposed to be 80. I'll take it. Thankful to be off today. My wife and I just get back from celebrating the date's not officially until the 29th of May, which is coming up at the time of that I'm recording this in about 10 days. But we just got back from celebrating our 20th wedding anniversary, which is kind of a major milestone, at least for us it is. We celebrated it by, we have 3 kids. We have a 14-year-old, a 14-year-old daughter, a 7-year-old son, and an almost 4-year-old daughter. So our life is 150 miles an hour all the time, as I'm sure you can imagine. If you have kids, I'm sure you can relate to that. But so we dropped the kids off at the grandparents. For our 3-year-old, it was her first time being away from, or not being, sleeping at somebody else's house. I mean, other than like hotels and stuff, beach houses and things like that, but without mom and dad, so that was kind of a big thing. But my wife and I, we went to Cape Charles, Virginia, and I've never been there before. I thought it was really nice. Like, if you're anywhere within 3 to 4 to 5 hours of Cape Charles, it is absolutely worth visiting. And we're not quite in the summer season yet, so it wasn't terribly busy. It was but it was perfect. I mean, just absolutely perfect. It's like the entire little town, it's like Mayberry at the beach. The entire town has been named a historic district. And so like all the homes are, cannot be demolished, they have to be restored. There's certain like things you have to do to be able to restore them in the right way. So they're all amazing looking. And hold on there, everybody. And it might be a cool place to retire, I don't know. But if you've never been there before, I think it's worth checking out for sure. I'm trying to find my way into downtown Richmond, and it looked like on the map, if I kind of just followed this Staples Mill Road. Well, here's Monument Avenue. I ought to ride down that. Maybe we'll take a right here if traffic allows it. We'll come back up to Staples Mill if there's anything interesting on Monument Avenue. That guy's got the right idea. John 3:17. 3:16. That's for God so loved the world. They sent his only son. That's on the license plate of the car in front of me. I feel like Monument Avenue maybe just ended. I probably need to turn around and go the other way for the historical part of it. So let's do that. Wow, look at that, a double red arrow. What's he riding? Maybe a Honda Shadow or something. So we were happy to celebrate our 20th anniversary, and you know, just took up a couple days, and it was good to get away and kind of spend some time together. And you know, it's funny because if you have kids and you don't get a lot of time away, it's like you finally get to the point where you have a date together, or you have a weekend getaway like we were so grateful to be able to have. And when we got there and, you know, sat down and finally could relax, it's like, what do we talk about? You know, what's there to do now? Like, it's kind of hard to relax when you're so used to going all the time. And I wanted to just kind of talk about something today that was important to me, and that's you know, kind of how motorcycles have actually helped me to recover and restore my mental health. How they've basically, like, to put it simply, motorcycles are one of the many things, but a big part of why I'm still here today. You know, when I was 11 years old, grew up in Massachusetts, grew up in New England, and very awesome childhood, small town. Could ride my bike anywhere. I loved to fish. I would ride my bike with the tackle box hanging from one handlebar and the fishing pole across the handlebars, and it was awesome. I had a good childhood, you know, until I turned 11, and then and I've you know, siblings and everything else. But when I turned 11, my mom, I remember, it's like a, you know, January or something of 1991, 44 years old now, and she sat my sister and I down in this big, like, comfy, easy chair, and she said, Daddy's going home to heaven, and he has cancer. And, you know, I just remember that as this 11-year-old kid, my mom telling me this, that I felt a lot of anger, a lot of sadness, but a lot of anger. I didn't understand, you know, at that age, of course, and still today, you know, I don't some other things going on at that time as well, where my dad was also fighting a lawsuit to clear his name, and he was able to clear his name, but it was just more stress on our family during that time. I remember his employer actually, they were a really good company, the one he was working for at the time, Bay State Abrasives in Massachusetts. They sent us all on this last vacation together as a family to Disney World, all expenses paid and everything, and that was really cool. But it was also really bittersweet, I would say. It's like the best, worst vacation ever, because we'd never been to Disney World before, but at the same time we knew that my dad was going to die, and it was our last vacation together as a family. Look at this cobblestone, that's so cool. So we're in Richmond now. Look at the architecture on these buildings, unbelievable. So after my dad passed away, my mom had to find a job to support her family, children. Gosh, these cobblestones make the balance a little bit tricky. So my mom found a job, but it was in Virginia, and we're living in Massachusetts at the time. So about 3 months after my father passed away in February of 1992, our whole family moved. My mom moved us down to Virginia. She started a job down here as a nurse, and she was working midnight shift, and it was just a really, really hard time for her. Want to acknowledge that, and also a really hard time for all of us. Whoa. Sorry, it's a little, you can tell these cobblestones kind of, you got to power to that rear wheel. Stay focused on where you're going. Look at oh man, it's amazing around here. So we moved to Virginia, and my teenage years were full of anger and depression. Not that I knew what that was, but I was a screwed up kid. When I got my driver's license, I remember I was so angry all the time, and like road raging, just a little terror. I was the kid that I can't stand now. So, my life was kind of a mess, and I had a lot of broken relationships with young ladies, and not healthy relationships, and I never really was willing to go. I don't know, I was so angry I didn't want to talk to anybody about the loss, the death of my father, and that really affected me. I mean, like every time I watch The Lion King, and the sad part in The Lion King, I'm gonna go this way for a little while, see what's over here, but like the sad part in The Lion King is when Mufasa dies, right? And I just even into adulthood, that movie really bothered me. Like, it was really sad, I thought, because I had never really faced the loss of my father. Even at 30 years old, The Lion King would still make me very upset, especially the parts where the father passed away, Mufasa. Ironically enough, there's now a new movie about Mufasa coming out. So I remember signing up for classes out of high school. I got bullied a lot too, when I was a kid. And it's like bullies have this radar. Oh man, something smells amazing. Whatever that restaurant is. I got bullied a lot in 8th, 9th grade. It's like bullies have radar for kids with low self-esteem, and without my dad in my life, My parents had been married for 23 years when he died, and he was 49. He was young. But without my dad, I just didn't have that father figure to reassure me in my identity, to tell me that, good job, and, you're a good son, and stuff that we want to hear, that we need to hear. So, I out of high school, I signed up for a bunch of college courses at the local community college, and I found out pretty quick that there was no consequence if I didn't go, so I ended up failing all of my classes my very first semester in college. So that was a great start, and it's depression. Like it's a lack of wanting to do anything, like a lack of purpose that I was wrestling with. So I job hopped for a while, and I did end up going back to the classes and kind of fixing my GPA later on, but it took a while. It took motivation. Job hopped for a while, started working for like a tech company, and then I lost my job, and was doing well at that tech company. Lost my job, and was unemployed for 5 months, and that was scary to me. That's the time when I started to learn how to ride a motorcycle. I got my very first motorcycle, because I felt like I was doing nothing. I felt like I was wasting away, and so I got myself my first bike, 1982 Yamaha Maxim 400, and had a blast. And lucky to be here. Not that I was riding stupid, but I didn't know anything, and I was even riding before I had got my learner's permit, before I'd gotten, I might have had my learners, but I didn't have any supervision, and I definitely, had not taken the Motorcycle Safety Foundation course yet, so, I'm lucky to be here, because I made a lot of stupid mistakes. So after being unemployed for 5 months, that's when I wanted to become a police officer, because you figured that line of work would never, you'd always be able to find a job, because crime never quits, which is true. So became an officer, and I also met my wife and got married all about the same time. So things are starting to, instead of feeling like I was drowning all the time and my life was a train wreck, like finally I felt like instead of drowning that things were starting to go better. So I was an officer, young officer, wanted to get into everything, and got a lot of awards for arresting lots of drunk drivers and stuff. It was a heritage classic. After about a couple of years as an officer, the stuff that first responders see was starting to really take its toll, especially with my childhood trauma. See, if you've been through some stuff in childhood, if you've got stuff that's traumatic that you've been through in childhood, like that really can affect you, and you really will carry it for the rest of your life. So if you were abused as a child, or you went through something traumatic, or your parents divorced, or you had an alcoholic father or mother, or any of that stuff, like that affects you big time, and you carry it every day with you. You carry it every day. So this stuff, the childhood trauma of losing my father, watching him die, watching him die in our home, because he died at home. It was that was very traumatic. I didn't realize how traumatic, I guess, at the time. You're a kid, you know nothing. But I just remember that the death really bothered me, and you see a lot of it as an officer, as a first responder, as firefighters see a lot of it too. So that was really screwing with me, and I wouldn't talk to anybody about it because you're supposed to be strong, you're supposed to be tough, not supposed to talk about it, or at least that's what it was, the way it was at the time. And you know, I would ride. You know, motorcycles would kind of keep me going, but it wasn't until you know, I had been in, you know, I turned to alcohol because motorcycles ultimately were helpful, but I wasn't talking to anybody about the stuff that was bothering me, and so I kept stuffing it deep inside, and it just, you know, made me irritable and made me have nightmares and extreme anxiety and post-traumatic stress, basically, you know, PTSD. So it was a bad way to be, and I still battle it today. I still battle it every day. But I turned to alcohol to try to cope with it because I wasn't willing to talk to anybody, which was not smart. And pretty soon I had a problem with alcohol. To the point where I started drinking I had to drink every day. And if I didn't, I'd have withdrawals, like where I felt like things were creepy crawling on me. I was spending $300 bucks, $350 a month. This was 9 years ago, 10 years ago, or more, you know, on alcohol. So that's, I mean, today that'd probably be $500. But you know, for years, probably 7, 8 years, I was a functioning alcoholic, and so I'd never go to work with any alcohol in my system, but I definitely needed it and definitely was addicted. And I somehow felt like I was, you know, better than other people because I wouldn't drink and drive and stuff like that. But I was, you know, looking up, Googling, and you know, how many drinks does it take to make you an alcoholic? And you know, if you're looking that up on the internet, that might be your sign. But then my wife and I went through something very traumatic. I was already in a very dark place because of my alcohol addiction and all my trauma that I just kept stuffing. And we went through the loss of our pregnancy of our second child at 5 months into the pregnancy. And just when that happened, I was already in such a dark place, and I still refused to go get help, refused to go talk to anybody, because I figured I could fix it myself. And man, I started really going off the deep end then. Really going off the deep end. To the point that there was extremely reckless behavior, and just I was so screwed up in my mind. So screwed up. And really it took me to hit absolute rock bottom. Absolute rock bottom. Where there was the threat of losing my job. There was the threat of losing my wife and my daughter, who was 5 at the time, before I finally woke up. And, you know, at that point I was suicidal. I was ready to end my life. And there was like this internal battle going on. Coming over, bro, you got your signal on. I don't know what you're doing. Sketch. Don't want to end up trading paint with a car if I can help it. So, yeah, I was contemplating taking my own life because I was so screwed up and so depressed and so full of darkness, and I felt like there was no hope, and I felt I was going to lose it all. I guess I gotta wait for a signal. I'm not a big city guy, so all these crosswalks are kind of confusing me. I didn't want to. If they were going to step out in front of me, I wanted to be ready. But you know, in that moment when I was getting ready to end my life, I saw a vision of fire. You know, I don't know if you're religious or not, but I felt like it was God showing me the gates of hell, and that's where I was headed. So it scared the hell out of me. excuse my language, but it scared me. And that was the time that I was like, okay, well, I'm done. Like, this life, I've screwed my life up so bad that I just can't do it anymore. So I surrendered my heart, I surrendered my life, gave it over to God, and I started to get help. I told my mom, I told my mom too, but I told my wife about my alcohol problem. She became an accountability partner. This is why big cities suck. My wife became an accountability partner, and like, she helped me to get all the alcohol out of the house. This was 9 years ago this August, so it was 2015, and I told her about this secret problem I'd had for so many years, and instead of becoming, she was already pretty mad at me at the time, but instead of becoming more mad, she helped me, and so then we started seeing a counselor together, and it was a marriage counselor, and I thought that because it was a marriage counselor, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, that sounds like a great movie. I actually kind of want to see that. But we started going to see a marriage counselor, and because it was a marriage counselor, I thought it would be all about the marriage, but instead this counselor started hearing about my story and all my trauma and how screwed up I was and all the stuff that I had faced all the way back to my childhood. And if you ever go to see a counselor, like, the first appointment, all they do is listen and take notes, and you kind of unload on them, and that's therapeutic in itself. But I remember telling her all the stuff all the way back to the death of my dad, and all my years seeing traumatic stuff as an officer. I was a crash reconstruction officer for 7 years, so I saw a lot of death. And she looked up at me after I kind of finished telling her everything, and she said, "Wow, I'm surprised you're doing as well as you are." And I'm like, "Wait, you are?" It was kind of funny because it actually made me feel better for a second there. That there's people that are worse off than me, and I felt like there was no way in heck that there was anybody worse than me. That's one of the biggest lies that the enemy has against us, is that we're the only one. Like, we always feel like we're the only one that's ever felt a certain way or struggled with something, and I definitely felt that. I definitely did, for so long. But there's a lot of people out there that are struggling, and that's why suicide rate's so high. Especially amongst military and first responders, but men in general. We don't want to talk to people. We think we got to be strong and tough. And I'm telling you, it's more courageous to actually start facing your stuff, facing those problems. There's a nice bike. Sportster maybe, 48. I don't know. But it's more courageous to face your problems and to face these things with a counselor, with a therapist, than to hold it all inside. Because that's the easy thing to do. The hard thing is to face it. And it changed my life to be able to heal from some of this stuff, to be able to talk about it instead of feeling like it was a forbidden subject that I could never speak of. And so, I started to heal slowly, surely, one step at a time, one day at a time. And quitting the drinking definitely helped. Talking to a therapist helped, but having something that you're passionate about is something that, like motorcycles, like riding, something that pours back into you when you ride, something that you can consume yourself with, when you don't feel like you have. Nice. That guy's gonna wreck. But when you don't feel like you have any purpose in life, things that give you purpose, like riding, they are things that that restore you, that help you lead a life of resilience and balance. And maybe for you, riding's not your thing. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's hiking. Maybe it's paddle boarding. If you can get outside and kind of combine being outside with your passion, with your hobby, or I don't even like calling it a hobby, because this motorcycling is not a hobby for me. It is a lifestyle. It is a passion, and I know you can relate to that. If you're watching this and you ride, and like there's it's so much easier to get in a car, right? But it's so much more life-giving to get on a bike and to ride around and feel the wind and smell the smells, and just it's so life-giving. And so you got to find your thing. If you got trauma, and we all do. We all have stuff. If you got that and you haven't faced it, then it's holding you in chains. It's holding you in chains in one way or another. And the more stuff you face in your childhood, the more likely that you are to turn to substances like drugs and alcohol to cope, because you've got this hard stuff in your childhood that maybe you never healed from. And so and also with that comes the risk of depression, with the risk of anxiety, and the risk of addiction, and the risk of suicide. All these things kind of go hand in hand. Here we are at the VCU College of Engineering. No idea where I am. Just so part of my riding, I don't usually use a GPS. Sometimes I will. I don't put a phone on the handlebar because I think it's distracting, and I also don't really want to be looking at a phone when I'm riding. I want to be looking at and immersed in the world around me and just enjoying the experience. This is I don't come here that much, and just being able to ride in this area is so cool. I feel like I could go down any street and just be amazed at what I see. So that's just a little bit about me, you guys. The happy ending to the story is that I quit drinking 9 years ago. I got the help that I needed so badly, and there's so much more to the story. But after I started to heal and turn my life around, my marriage with my wife was restored, and as I said, we just celebrated our 20th wedding anniversary. And I don't deserve her. I don't deserve her forgiveness or her grace, but she chose to forgive me for a lot of things, and so I'm very thankful for that. I try to live my life in gratitude for that. And we've also had 2 more children since that time, so that's why now we have three kids, and so what blessings they are. But the motorcycle, like now, is part of how I stay resilient. Picture like a tennis ball bouncing, right? If you're resilient, you're like a ball that can bounce back from tough stuff, from adversity. But if you don't have things that keep you balanced and help you to survive life, and there's so many more things, like there's group therapy, there's talk therapy, if you have an alcohol addiction, there's AA, there's Celebrate Recovery, for passions, you know, other than, you know, motorcycles and hiking. There's so many more things. There's art, there's cooking, there's, it could be sewing, you know, like that's not my thing, but, you know, quilting, maybe it is for you, you know. What's your thing? Tell me in the comments. What do you do to stay resilient? How do you survive this life? But motorcycles have kept me from killing myself, quite literally, and kept me alive in more ways than one. One, spiritually alive and physically alive. Wow, that's a cool monument. James Center. Like, I never want to stop riding out here. Oh, my bad, dude. Sorry. Look at these buildings. I need to find a place to eat. Oh no, more cobblestone. Oh gosh. That's actually pretty fun. Figure out what street I'm on, because I kind of want to come back here. South 13th at, look, RVA on wheels, at East Carey, so I'm on East Carey Street. But, you know, I'd love to hear from you. You can email me, revfreemoto@gmail.com. I hope you could understand that with these cobblestones. Oh gosh. You can email me and tell me, you know, your story. I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear how motorcycles have changed your life, or what you do to be resilient, what you do to kind of, there's Canal Street down there. What do you do to stay balanced? Have you ever gone to see a counselor? And how did it help you? You know, there's so much stigma around mental health, especially for men and first responders, and, you know, but women too. Like, you know, maybe it isn't your thing to, oh, look at this clock tower, and amazing train going by. It's like I couldn't plan it better. Unbelievable. Keep rolling. I just wanted to look at the train for a second. So yeah, this is downtown Richmond. If you haven't been, it's beautiful down here. It's very cobblestoney, as you can see. Pretty cool. You gotta have something in your life. You gotta have people to talk to, even if you're not going to pay a counselor, or you don't have insurance, or whatever. Find a good friend who can listen. Sometimes that's all it takes. You know, sometimes you don't need to have a therapist. It's a never-ending line of traffic. Here we go. here, it's amazing. This is the Canal Walk. I believe that's what it's called. Right down here by the river. See the little canal boats? Probably can't see it. A lot of history down here. Lucky Strike factory. Probably not making Lucky Strikes anymore. I don't know. Have to look that up. Man, this train is like 1,000 miles long. I'm not sure if I'm heading in the right direction. Probably not. But there's a really cool place downtown here called Tredegar Ironworks. It's like an old shipbuilding factory from the Civil War era. And I feel like I'm getting closer to it because it is along the river, but there's this awesome pedestrian bridge that crosses over the river. But just driving around downtown Richmond, this area is just beautiful. That might be. And we didn't get that stopped at that many stoplights today. That wasn't too terrible. Check and make sure my camera's still running. I've had my GoPro. I need to just spring and buy another battery. I've got the GoPro 11 Black, and I have run out of battery. Gosh, sorry. Look at that water. It's like Willy Wonka chocolate factory water. I have run out of battery more times on my GoPro than I care to admit. And I keep thinking I'm just going to buy another battery, but I haven't yet. And I need to. So that when I stop and I want to film something else, I can switch the battery out. Nice shady spot to pull over, and it says no parking, so I'm just gonna stop the video here, and then I'm out of here. Gotta go find a place to eat. But hey guys, I just want to say thank you. I don't know if you can see me in the mirror here. thank you so much for tuning in and listening to what I had to say today. I think mental health is extremely important, and I know it's affected my life. Uh, and So, just remember that who you're becoming is what matters most. Who you're becoming is what matters most. And so make sure that you live free and make sure that you rev free. We'll see you in the next video. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. Appreciate you guys. Love you all. God bless.